Welcome to the WiseTake DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. We're back to the three-man tonight. You can see we're joined here by Patio Joe. You can find him on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. And the return, of course, after a week's absence, we got Fuego back. You guys were asking about him. Here he is. Fuego Steve is back. You can find him on Twitter, of course, at Fuego_Steve. Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
Good.
Going good.
All right.
Yeah, man. Family stuff and moving and all that stuff. But I'm back and ready to go.
Hey, man, I told him, man. People were asking. I was like, listen, Fuego will be back when Fuego's back. I was like, Fuego's got life to take care of, man. He's got to do his thing.
Fuego does.
Fuego does what Fuego does. I was like, he'll be back when he's back. And then, luckily for us, it was good timing. We introduced Joe into everybody, and he fit in wonderfully. So everything worked out, man. Joe was able to come on here more and give everybody an opportunity to get to know him a little bit. And you can see he's got that extra tan going on right now. I think he went away a little bit, right, Joe?
Yeah. Me and my family, we went to Lake Mojave in Arizona, like on the border of Arizona and Nevada, and had a few days in the sun. Couldn't play any DFS because there's no DFS in Arizona and Nevada.
Oh, that's the only way. Great, good job.
Yeah, so I am itching to get back and play some because it's been about 3 days now. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, Fuego. But before we get started, before you start telling them about some of the awesome tournaments that are tomorrow, it's funny. We had Joe on a couple episodes already, right?
It's great, by the way. I was listening to Joe. You've been doing.
Oh yeah. He's been crushing. So anyway, so we're doing a pod. It's me and him, right? It's before the podcast. And he had some audio trouble the first couple episodes he was on. He was like fading out a couple times. So I said to him, I'm like, hey man, we got to do something about the audio. I don't know if it's the connection. Then all of a sudden Joe goes, should I use my mic? And I'm like, what mic? He pulls out this freaking monster, like awesome professional microphone. He's like, should I use this? I'm like, what?
Oh, awesome.
He puts it on. I can hear the crickets in the background all of a sudden. I'm like, oh. Anyway, Fuego, go ahead, man. Tell them about some of these awesome tournaments tomorrow, man.
I was thinking about getting a mic myself. Yeah, so there's some great tournaments tomorrow. I don't know if it's the day after Memorial Day special or what, but
back to work special.
So first of all, if you guys aren't aware, there's the Roto Grinders started up the single entry series again, and this week it's only $2. So jump in there. You can, if you win any of the weeks. Like if you were the best scorer this week, you get a trip to Chicago and compete in the finals. So they take your best 4 scores of the week. So Roto Grinders is doing that again. It's only $2 this week on FanDuel. Also on FanDuel, you got the Deuces Wild. I know some people out there listening have tickets that won tickets to it. $222. If anybody got money lying around, $200,000 to first place. 70 to second. So top 6 get 10,000 or more. That's I know some people I got a couple tickets to that. And then they also have their normal $3 squeeze, and they have the $18 rambunctious rally with its 50,000 to the first. Top 3 get 10K, and then there's the $6 and $100 qualifiers. And then over on DraftKings, you got the every day now they're running the $4.20 max, which I love. You can max enter for $80 and still have a chance at 4,000 or 5,000. But tomorrow they're running the $70 frozen rope. That's a little better than $222 with 100,000 to first place. And then the $7 mini frozen rope, which is 15 to first. So between the two sites, you got a lot of money out there to win tomorrow, and we're going to help you guys do it.
That's it. That's right. I like that attitude, Fuego. I love that. You guys ready to start talking about some baseball?
Let's do it.
All right. We got Kenta Maeda of the Los Angeles Dodgers visiting Michael Wacha of the St. Louis Cardinals. We're gonna start off with Joe here. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Kenta Maeda coming off of a decent outing last time, and same thing with Wacha. They matched up last week in Los Angeles. You want the left-handed hitters for the Dodgers, of course. The Dodgers have been playing pretty well the last few days. Maeda is a pitcher that I don't really think I'm going to be considering, just because I don't really think his ceiling is that high, and his floor is okay, but not enough in cash. Definitely with other pitchers on the plate, on the slate, and Waka is the same kind of almost in the same boat. It was pretty steady, and then the last time the Dodgers just ripped him. So I pretty much I'll stay off the pitching. Maybe see a look at the bats. Maybe a Dodger stack, but that's about it.
Okay, Fuego, what you got here?
So as usual, my model on Fantasy Labs likes Dodgers pitching. They don't always take into account that they don't go as many innings as we would like. So at least on DraftKings, I'll have some interest in Maeda. Maybe not so much on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I'll have some interest in him. And no interest in Waka on this slate. It's a huge slate, and no interest on either bats, really, to be honest with you. There's a lot of run totals higher than this. They're both in the low fours. I think we can get a lot better spots, maybe some one-offs here, but this isn't a game I'm attacking.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you guys. Fuego, both of you guys made a good point. Joe had mentioned, like, you're definitely not using Maeda in cash. 100% agree with that. Fuego, you mentioned that you would be looking at Maeda for some of your tournaments and that your models always like Dodger pitching, and that's also correct. Maeda, you don't know what you're going to get. The Dodgers can pull him after 80 pitches. You have no idea the way they're going to handle it. They're very sensitive with how they handle these guys, and because they've been burned by injury before. Now, why do the models like him? I mean, the WiseTake model also has him up there. It's because he's got a 9K per 9 on the road. So 24.59K percentage over his last 2 years. So, he should rank high. He's got the K numbers. The issue here, of course, which is why Joe is saying we can't play him in cash, is because we don't know what the Dodgers are going to do with him. They very well might decide, you know what, we're just not going to let him go more than 5 innings, or we're not going to let him go more than 85 pitches. So it's tough. And on top of that, they are playing St. Louis. Now, one thing I'll say about Maeda, his numbers against righties on the road have been lethal. He's been pretty good against righties. Now, of course, you got Fowler, Carpenter. We got some decent lefties over there. So I'm with you guys, man. Like, I think Maeda's okay in tournaments. I don't want any Waka. And as far as the hitters, Fuego had mentioned that there's like so many other better spots. So I'm kind of with him. Listen, if you want to play guys on the Dodgers, I prefer the Dodgers side here, but I think I'm with you guys. It's like there's so many other better spots, right?
Exactly.
Sure.
All right, we got Luis Severino of the New York Yankees visiting Chris Tillman of the Baltimore Orioles. Fuego, we're going to start off with you this time, man. Go ahead.
All right, so definitely like Severino. I've been playing him all year. His price is getting up there, though. Let's see. He's 10.2 on DraftKings and 9.2 on FanDuel. He's going to be in play for me against the Orioles, who've been striking out and who have not been playing super great. He's not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but he's in play. And on the other side, Tillman, I'm not going to have anything to do with him going against the Yankees. And on the batter side, I've been riding the Yankees. I will probably have some Yankee stacks tomorrow. They have a 4.8 implied run total, which is not the highest, but it's in that range I like. It's like the third or fourth or fifth highest total, and it's close to 5. And the Orioles pitching just hasn't been very good, so I will have Yankee bats, and I will probably avoid the Baltimore. Yeah, as much as I hate it. Maybe a hedge. If I play some Severino, maybe a hedge stack with some Orioles, but I'm probably not going to be playing too many of them.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I want the Yankees bats. Chris Tillman. He is just, he could bring a good performance, but he has got such good blow up potential too. So you really are looking at the Yankees bats. Severino is somebody you might want to look at in tournaments, in cash. I'm staying off of him. But yeah, that's about it.
Is there anyone in cash besides Sale you're going to play?
I really don't think so.
No, there's nobody. So Sale is the cash game lock, brother. That's it.
Right. I mean, I don't play cash, but that was my guess. So we could probably just we can give that caveat the rest of the way.
Yeah, for sure, man. Listen, man, in cash, man, it's Sale, and that's it. It's on FanDuel. On DraftKings, yeah, you're gonna have to pay one of these guys, but
Sure.
but on FanDuel, man, it's Sale, and now you're just thinking about cheap bets and
Well,
finding a way to fit some cores in there.
I'll be the Matt today and make sure I talk about DraftKings pitchers.
There we go. There we go. Shout out to Matt. He's over at the Angel game right now. Well, he was saying,
he didn't give any love to Nolasco. He must have been shining it in his eyes.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you guys, man. I think Severino, he's got. What's that?
I might win a satellite with 1 point from him. I'm in first place, and it's. Oh, I just jumped up, actually. I have 1.2 points from him, and I'm leading the satellite.
There we go. See, when you're Fuego, things just happen, you know?
Those LA pitchers for me, man. Oh.
Yeah, those LA pitchers.
Sorry, that's off track here.
But yeah, listen, Severino's got upside. We know that. Baltimore has a tendency to strike out a lot. Again, in tournament only play and cash, you heard us say Sale's your guy. I guess on DraftKings you could consider him, although I will say there's a 35% chance of precipitation, so you got to be a little careful. On the one thing I will say for sure is I love the Yankees bats. I'm with you guys, man. 4.8 run total, and not just that, but Tillman's always he had it's like neutral kind of split. So I'm not worried. Like it's not even like you just want to some of these monster guys, Sanchez, Holiday, Castro, Judge, like these are the guys you want, and you don't have to just deal with the DDs, the Hicks, and the Headleys. Not that they're not good, but you'd much rather play like Judge, right? Like, don't you feel more comfortable playing Sanchez or Judge rather than a Chase Headley batting 8th? You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm with you guys, man.
Yeah. Hicks was good to me though, batting 7th though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Listen, Hicks is great, but still, if you could pick Hicks or Judge, who would you rather?
Of course.
But I'm with you, man. I like Hicks a lot. I think he's a young guy with a lot of talent. We got Robbie Ray.
Choo just homered for me.
So in that same qualifier, you just bumped?
Yeah.
With the 1. With the 1 from the last go.
Yep, with a 1.
That's phenomenal. We got Robbie Ray, the lefty from the Arizona Diamondbacks, visiting Ivan Nova of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Go ahead, Joe. Back to you.
I like Robbie Ray in this spot. He had a great outing last time. I realized that the Pirates do not strike out very much, but if you're looking for upside that's going to get you over 50 points in this match, on this slate tomorrow, there are only a few guys that can do it, and Ray has done it 3 times this year. So especially, and it's including his last 2 times out at Milwaukee and San Diego, 58 and 51 points on FanDuel. So I'm looking at Robbie Ray tomorrow against a lineup that's going to be without Polanco, who just came back. Now he got hurt again today. He hurt his ankle, so I don't think he's going to be playing. Adam Frazier is a good hitter, but against a lefty, he's not as good. So I also think that the D-backs bats against Nova are very sneaky because Nova can blow up, and I'm still going to keep playing the D-backs because Ivan Nova is not a pitcher that would scare me off of any D-backs hitter that the way that they're playing at this moment.
Why do you think they only have a 3.8 implied run total?
I mean, I don't know. This park? I don't know.
I guess. Yeah.
It's weird. It is. It's 7.5 the run total. I
mean, Nova hasn't been horrible. He gave up 10 hits last time against the Rays. He gave up 10, 9, 9, 7, 10 hits. Why would they think Arizona wouldn't do it? Interesting. Might have to look. Might have to bet the over on the. Can you bet overs on runs? I'm sure you could somewhere.
Yes, you can, Fuego. I'm sure you could somewhere. Yes, you can, Fuego. You can certainly do that. Go ahead, Fuego. You wanna go ahead and.
Well, just to add to that, I'm surprised at that. But Vegas is right more than I am. So they had the Toronto was going to score 5.7 runs tonight, and they scored 14. And I definitely Robbie Ray is your pivot off Sale if you want to do that for tournaments. See, everything that Joe said. Add on top 6 of this 10 on FanDuel. He's going for 42 or more. You're telling me 60% of the time he's getting 42 or more points with the pitching outside of Sale in this slate. I love it. So I will definitely have some shares of Robbie Ray on both sites. I think on DraftKings he is So Sale is 13.4 on DraftKings. Ray is 9.6. So that's almost $4,000 difference for, in my mind, same upside. I mean, maybe not consistency, but past 2 games he's had better than Sale has. Let's put it that way. So I like Ray a lot, and pretty much everything Joe said. Arizona bats and nothing really from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on Ray as like if Sale wasn't here, Ray would probably be the pitcher I felt most comfortable with, both from an upside standpoint and from a safety standpoint. Even I feel like he's got a certain degree of safety for sure. He's getting a huge park upgrade. I mean, look at his numbers and understand that his overall numbers are inflated because he's pitched his entire career at the Chase Field. So yeah, I think Ray makes a lot of sense. My concerns over playing Ray over like a Sale is the fact that you want to talk about matchup here. And listen, while Sale might be in more of a hitter's park, he's facing a team that strikes out a ton. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, they're kind of known, and they're kind of doing it again this year where they don't strike out a ton. For instance, I was just telling Joe before we were talking about it, and DeGrom the other day had 11 Ks against the Pirates at Pittsburgh, but he went 9 innings. It took him 9 innings to get it. Whereas, the other day we saw Strasburg have 14 in about 7. So matchup does make a difference. And the thing about Ray is he hasn't shown me that he could stop walking guys. You know what I'm saying? Like if he could show me that he could go 8 or 9 innings, like consistently, like a DeGrom or something like that, I for sure. I would even consider him, considering how cheap he is and the fact that we have so many bats to pay up for. I'd even consider playing Ray over Sale in cash. But I just can't do it because of the fact that if the Pirates aren't striking out, they may get 1 or 2 more walks. And those 1 or 2 more walks could raise his pitch count. Now, in tournaments, absolutely, I think Ray is the only real, legitimate pivot from Sale in tournaments. I think Ray, he does have the upside, So I'm with you guys. I think in cash, you still can't. You got to go with Sale. Even though it's tempting and he's so much cheaper, you still got to go with Sale. But in tournaments, I'm with you guys, man. I think Ray, single-handedly, as far as pitcher by pitcher by pitcher, takeaway matchup, he's got the most upside outside of Sale, without a doubt. Right?
Can I say something that I noticed while you were talking? Mm-hmm. Ray has all these awesome games, and even his bad ones are 24 points. But he's got this one game sticking out, and guess who it was against? The Pirates. He only struck out 2 in 4 innings on May 14th, and he had a total of 6. Yeah, I understand.
No, I was just asking. I was just asking.
He was, but yeah, he still only went 4 innings, 6 hits. I don't know if he was injured, his lowest of the year. So that's interesting that it came against the Pirates. Now, does he reverse that in Pittsburgh? I hope so, but
yeah, no. Like I said, I think in tournaments, yeah, I think he could. I think he very well could, and people may stay away from him because like you just saw, they see that in his game log. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, I don't think people are gonna look back that far.
Was it a while ago?
I mean, it happened.
It was 3 games ago.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I just think that they're gonna think it was in Arizona and the stadium shift. Plus, they're also going to look at his two outings before then too. Mm-hmm. 58 and 51. I mean, it's pretty hard to look at that, and because that one outing is surrounded by all solid matchups, and I just think in relative to everybody else that's on the slate, it's kind of hard not to. And I think last
I think it's coincidence too.
I mean, yeah, last time he pitched, I think people were kind of off of him, but the people that actually played him, they won a lot of money because people weren't on him.
Yeah,
that's right.
They didn't see it. They thought, oh, we're going to Milwaukee. It's a hitter's park. They're going to crush him. And he wound up shoving it.
Yeah, he had a great game. And the stud pitcher that night also had a great game, but the difference was Ray was significantly cheaper. So if you got that same, top tier score from a couple $1,000s less, you were in a better position to pay for bats. So that's why it matters. For those of you who maybe played the top dog and you're like, well, Ray didn't outscore my guy. Well, if you take price into consideration,
it was
if you
the same
Ray,
thing.
Right?
It was Sale, I think.
Was it Sale?
Right?
Yeah, it must have been because they're on the same schedule. So yeah. I think Ray ended up having the same score Sale did that night or something like that.
Yep, that's exactly. He had a little more.
But he was significantly cheaper. So it's tempting, like in a cash game, and like I said, in tournaments, man, I think you can certainly play Ray. I don't see why you wouldn't. It's a low game total in general, 3.8 on both sides. But in a cash game setting, because the Pirates don't strike out a ton, I can't come down from Sale. And I'm sure that those of you who played Sale in cash last week, if you lost, it wasn't because you didn't play Robbie Ray. Because I think Sale was like 70-80% owned anyway, right? So, in cash, of course. All right, so let's see. We got here we go. We got Asher Woj. Oh man, Woj. We're just gonna call him Woj, man. Wojciechowski. I'm sorry, man. I'm not. I'm just terrible with pronouncing some of these names, man. Maybe it's a Polish name or something, but
I got some Polish in me.
Yeah. You guys are waiting for that one. You probably saw that coming up, and you were like, "Oh my God, let's see him go through this." All right. Anyway, he's against J.A. Happ, the lefty from the Toronto Blue Jays. Fuego, go ahead. Start us off.
Well, the good thing is you probably don't need to know his name because you shouldn't be playing him tomorrow. Toronto's heating up. They have Tulowitzki back in the lineup. He had a grand slam tonight. They have Donaldson back in the lineup. I think, did he homer? I think maybe. I think everyone in Toronto's lineup homer today. Play the Blue Jay bats. Get them now. Get them while they're still cheap. Some of the guys like Tulowitzki, I think. Let me take a look at Tulowitzki here.
2.9 on FanDuel.
What is he? 3.9?
2.9.
2.9. Exactly. You're right. Yep. So he's still cheap. He's batting a little further in the order, but he might creep up tomorrow. Play the Toronto bats now. Jump on them, and ride them while they're hot. No real interest in either pitcher. And as far as the Cincinnati bats go, excuse me, maybe I might have a few stacks against at least the righties against the lefty half. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I love the Blue Jays bats. They are hot. They've been hot. Devin Travis, look at his price. I love him. He's been really, really hot. Yep. He's batting in the top of the order, top of the lineup. You want to play him. I mean, it's funny. He's seen his price rise almost about 1,000 in like the past week. He was batting 130 about a month ago, and now he's batting 260. So,
hey, Kevin Pillar is still $100 more expensive than Josh Donaldson on FanDuel.
It's crazy,
right? Donaldson's 3.6. Wasn't he like 5,000 sometimes last year? Mm. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
And you got guys like Justin Smoke and Morales that, they are 3,400 on FanDuel, but they can give you, just as much return as guys like Goldie, Votto, Rizzo right now. That they're hot, so play them. And I believe in hot streaks. On the Reds, you can always play the Reds. It's a good ballpark. They have a decent offense. Billy Hamilton is always good. Votto has good reverse splits. J.A. Happ can give a good outing here and there. I know he's just coming off of the DL, so he's not anybody I think I would really look at very hard because you don't really know how long he's going to go. But at one point though, he might keep an eye on him because he could be somebody you want to play later on in a couple weeks.
Hey, do you guys know what Duvall did today by any chance?
Oh, I think he had a home run, I think, right?
Did he?
I know he singled in somebody early, and then I thought that maybe he had a home run later on, but I'm not positive.
Well, if he did, that's 4 out of the last 5 he's got. I thought he did something too. I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
He's had 3 games before that. He is hot.
Yeah, he's definitely hot. I'm with you guys, man. Like, you're not playing Asher. My only problem with Happ, he's good. Obviously we know he's got upside. It's just the Reds aren't they're not striking out a ton this year, and they're a pretty good offense. Like the only reason they're bad is because they're pitching pretty much. I'm not saying they're great. They'd be great if they had pitching, but I think they'd be a lot more respectable if they did overall from the league. So I'm with you guys. Toronto, red hot, man. Great call, guys. Toronto's been red hot. You don't want to shy away. They're getting healthy now. Like this is the time that you want to be you want to be riding them after everybody's stopped playing them, and on a big slate like this with Core, so many other options. You may be able to get them at a lower ownership than you should. I'm not saying they're going to be under-owned because I'm not saying they're going to not be there might be like 15% or so. But the way that they're playing now, they should be more than that because they've been red hot, one of the hottest offenses in the league against this guy Asher, who nobody's heard of. So I think that's interesting for sure. And Happ is his first start back, so I'm not really trusting that. So I'm with you guys, man. We got Ariel.
Can I add one more red?
Sure.
A red that's going to be a sneaky play because he's left-handed versus Happ is left-handed is Scott Schebler. He's been hot. He's got an ISO split above 300 versus lefties. He's got how many home runs now? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home runs in his last 8 or 9 games. He's going to be, I think he'll be a very sneaky play, lefty versus lefty, that you're going to get for low ownership as a one-off, and he's cheap. He's only $2,900 on FanDuel.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great call. All right, we got Ariel Miranda of the Seattle Mariners visiting Tyler Anderson, the lefty from the Colorado Rockies. Looks like the game's going to start at 7:10. That's kind of strange for a Coors. Usually it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Anyway, 74 degrees. Go ahead, Joe. Start us off.
Yeah, you want to stack the righty bats on both sides. The way I like to take Coors Field is I look at the run total, and if the run total is 10.5 or above, I like to play the game. If it is 10.5 or if it is below 10.5, I like to fade the game. There's no reason to fade the game tomorrow, in my opinion. The righty bats, Anderson has a terrible WOBA splits against righties, and Miranda, in Coors, is going to have a tough time. I know he pitched well last week in Washington, but guys like Arenado, they don't stop hitting in Coors. So play the bats. Definitely have one team where you're playing. You definitely have a stack of this game.
All right, go ahead, Fuego.
So that means it would be starting at 5 o'clock Denver time, right?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. That is weird, but I'll tell you what, the temperature's a little higher there.
Yeah.
Which is gonna, at 5 o'clock than it is at, 8 o'clock. So that'll add maybe add a little bit more. I like the Rocky side better than Seattle. But there's could you fade this game? Sure. Because of the Toronto implied total, we've got a couple others coming up that might get close to 5. But, you're going to have some one-offs or have some. I don't know. I hate telling. It's just like the whole Westbrook thing we've talked about. I hate telling people to fade it, but fading it can be good, But Joe made a good point about the total being 11.1 total. So, it's Colorado.
Yeah. Listen, Fuego, you made a great point, man. The game's going to be starting a little early over there, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of an elevated temperature. 74 degrees for down there. It's pretty warm considering. And, one thing I'll say about Miranda's coming off a pretty good start against the Nationals. I think it was me and Joe were talking. And when I was talking to Joe before the show, I was a little bit more – I was saying like, oh yeah, maybe in tournaments you fade them, but after talking, first of all, Joe made some great points, and then after hearing you, Fuego, point out the fact that the game's starting earlier, and then I happened to look over at Miranda's stats and his ground ball percentage so far on a small sample, but still 37.31, so he's not really getting any ground balls, and it's a little scary. And then you go to Nelson Cruz on the other side, who just mashes lefties. And I know that Tyler Anderson is quote unquote more of a ground ball pitcher, but it's Nelson Cruz, man. Nelson Cruz is going to do with that ball what he wants to do. So it's like, it's going to be a lot tougher. I think in cash games, I know you're playing Sale, but you find a way to fit in Nelson Cruz because a lot of people are going to do it. They're going to find a way to play Nelson Cruz, and you don't want to be the guy in those 50-50s that doesn't have him when he's like, 50, 60% owned. Even on this slate, it's Nelson Cruz against a lefty in Coors on a nice day. It's just like, find a way in cash games to play him for sure. But yeah, man, it's Coors, man. I'm not going to play.
If you want to be sneaky and play Anderson, I would totally give the approval of that. I feel like, I don't know if it's just, I feel like there's some pitchers that this year have been doing okay. I played Wainwright the other day. Obviously, you have to get lucky. You have to get him right. But, a couple of his home games, especially on DraftKings, talking from DraftKings' point of view, at home he put up 18, 31, 10, and 1. Well, yeah, but 18 and 31 at home against some good teams. If you want to be sneaky and make him as your SP2 on DraftKings, you'll get him at low ownership.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I'll certainly say, Fuego, that if you're gonna attack Seattle, you want a lefty. But, I mean, listen, I'm gonna be, I'm not gonna be going there. But listen, I always say if you're gonna attack Seattle, do it with a lefty, because for some reason the rest of their guys, like you're taking out Seager and Cano as far as their comfort zone, so that helps, you know. Although I will say, man, I'm looking at the prices on FanDuel. Valencia 3.3, Tyler Motter 3.0 if he plays, and Eno 3.0. So they're not even that expensive on Seattle. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Here's my thing. I got a question for you. I mean, I like Arenado better. If I had to play one player from this game instead of Cruz, Arenado's 4,400.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think he's a better play at home. He hits lefties just as good as Cruz.
That's true.
His WOBA is just as good. He's $200 less. I don't think you can go wrong in either way. But there's more options in outfield. You can kind of maneuver your lineup a little bit better.
That's a good point. I was just gonna say I think it depends on the scarcity of the position. So depending on we have to look at all the third basemen as a whole and see, is there anybody that can come close to Arenado's safety and upside? And if not, then yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I think you have to play Arenado instead. Like, it's a lineup construction thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jake Lamb is maybe just as good. Rendon has been hitting everything. So,
but are they as safe? Like, is Lamb against Nova, a ground ball pitcher in Pittsburgh, sound safer to you than Ariel Miranda, a fly ball pitcher in Coors? That's the, so you know what? You might be right, man. Like, I just assumed that people are going to play Cruz because all I hear about is Cruz lefties. But, so I just assume that everybody's going to play them. But I definitely see your point, man. I think Arenado, he's 4.4, and he's at a third base is typically a more scarce position than the outfield. You could typically find substitutions to play the outfield. So, you know what? You make a great point, man. I listen. I think that's interesting for sure. Now I'm kind of thinking the other way. Now I'm thinking maybe he's not the guy maybe the guy you need to have in cash is Arenado. Maybe he's the one you got to force in there. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Why not Donaldson?
Oh, okay. There you go. See, now it's interesting. Okay. See, there you go, Fuego. Welcome back, Fuego.
Just try to get outside the box sometimes. Go
there
ahead.
You go. No, I love it.
That's your talk.
Hey, listen, man. We're talking everything first look. Tomorrow when we wake up and do our thing and we start diving in, we'll kind of get a better feel for the slate and all that. This is just the first look, first impressions. But you can already see there's a lot that we're gonna have to think about. And for all you people listening, understand this slate's gonna require you to use your head a little bit. It's a big slate. We got some pitching and we got some cores and we got some other bats. So it's good conversation, man. It's good conversation for sure. How about DJ LeMahieu 3.2 against Miranda? That is cheap. Cash game probably chalk right there, right? 3.2. I mean, the people always try to pay down at second base for sure in cash, and I think it's a great strategy. But depending on how scarce that position is, if you can't find a cheap guy hitting in a decent spot in the order, I wouldn't be surprised if people just settled for LeMahieu. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, he's pretty, stable. And if you look down at the other second baseman down below, you don't really have anybody. I mean, I guess Brandon Drury at 2,500, I'd like him depending on where
he's hitting in the order.
Hitting in the order. If he's hitting on the top of the order, that's like just, he's an auto play.
Right.
You don't have we don't have Oakland on it, so you don't have Lowry, who is an auto play in cash until they move his price up.
Yeah.
So I guess the only other guy, Joe Panic at 2,700 if he's leading off.
Yeah, if he usually hits, I think, second.
I'll give you guys a second baseman when we get there. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm with it, Fuego. I'm with it. All right, let's move on. We gave Coors its due.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got Vincent Velasquez of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting Justin Nicolino, the lefty from the Miami Marlins. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so you want the righty bats in this game for the Phillies. Nicolino is hot garbage. You also definitely, I always say the reverse splits of Michael Saunders is good. He's a lefty bat, so stack the Phillies. I like that. On the other side, Velasquez is GPP only. I'd still stay away. I don't think that it's enough. I think I'd rather go with other options in GPPs. But he's somebody you definitely could have on your list because he does have the strikeout upside. I just don't know how long he's going to go. On the other side, Stanton's been really hitting the ball really well. Yelich. So you can always play Real Muto at catcher, depending on where he's batting too.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Fuego.
Yeah, I was paying attention, and I agree with everything Joe said. I was just looking to see if I won this satellite. I guess I did.
The way you said it, though, I know you were actually paying attention, but the way you said that,
I just want to make sure people think, because it's clear that maybe I wasn't, but I totally was. And I was looking at my computer, and I had nothing to disagree with him.
It was just like he was just like, I was paying attention. It's like,
Miami bats. I liked the Miami bats. That's pretty much, and some, just like you said, on the Philly or the righties. So,
hey man, for sure. I think Philly is super cheap here. I think there's a lot of guys I'm gonna like here. I think I already found somebody I like better than LeMahieu, and that's Cesar Hernandez. Probably even the 2.9 leading off against Nicolino. Nicolino doesn't strike anybody out. Love the Phillies here. One thing, what's gonna determine it for me, I'm seeing 86 degrees with 66% humidity. If they open up this roof, I'm all over the bats in this game. Both sides. More so on the Phillies because Nicolino is terrible, but Velasquez on the road has struggled severely. He's coming off a good game. On the road, he's a different person. So I love both sides of the bats, but I really like the Phillies bats because Nicolino specifically doesn't strike people out. So if this roof is closed, I'm not going to like it as much. But if it's open, I'm going to load up on the bats here, and I don't think anybody else really will. But that heat makes a difference. When it's hot and humid, that ball flies. Okay, we got Zach Davies of the Milwaukee Brewers visiting Tyler Pill of the New York Mets. Go ahead, Fuego.
So 4.7 implied run total for the Mets, 4.4 for the Brewers. I'm surprised the Brewers is this low, just because, I mean, Tyler Pill, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised that who he has had. Has he pitched at all this year? 0.2 innings in relief, I guess.
I think the Mets either just signed him or just called him up or something like that.
Yeah,
but he's new.
So yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe they know something. But 4.4 seems low against a rookie or a guy who's barely played. So
I think they just think that Milwaukee sucks. Honestly, I think they just think that like Giselman is not very good, and he did pretty good today. Like he gave up some runs, but he's looked terrible. He did okay. So listen, I don't think Milwaukee's bad. I think Vegas is the only reason that it's that low is because Vegas is basically saying we don't think Milwaukee's that good. It's just my opinion.
Well, I get that, and I maybe have a thing for Milwaukee, so I will have definitely some. And plus, I like targeting guys that are unknown. I also like pitching guys that are unknown. Now, I don't know enough about him that I'm going to be probably throwing him out as a pitcher, but I like targeting guys that are unknown because who knows what happens. And you tell me, do the Mets have a good bullpen?
Well, they do, but they're missing Familia, their closer. So Addison Reed has been closing, which means they're stretching their bullpen. On top of that, they have no starting pitching. So they're supposed to have a good bullpen, but they really don't because they're just too stretched out and they're just too worn already.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's just me biased, but I'll definitely have some Milwaukee bats, and I'll definitely have some Mets bats as well. The 4.7 is that total that we talked about before we like to hit. And they will probably be lower owned than most of these other teams, especially ones with the 5 run total. So target some of those guys.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
All right, so the game's in New York. We're going to have my Shake Shack stack tomorrow.
The Shake Shack stack.
The Shake Shack stack, that's right. All right, so this game is good. Okay, Tyler Pill, like seriously, okay? Like, we don't know him, like Tyler Pill, like just his name alone. Attack him, all right? Like, all the bats, VR, Thames is he's gonna do something eventually. Shaw, if he's playing, Santana, I like. Braun's hurt, correct?
Right? I believe so, yes.
Okay, so And then on the other side,
Aguilar, if he's playing at first too.
Oh yeah, he's been doing well. He's been doing well. 2.7 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, the Mets, we saw what they could do to a crappy pitcher last week, and I just think that the lefty bats, Conforto, Granderson, what's the Duda, all them, play them. This game is nice. I like it. If you want to go off of Coors, I like this game.
Yeah, I think that I personally, and I know I'm the Met fan and all, but I think I would rather play the bats in the game before the Miami, and because like we're looking at the same thing, 4.4, 4.7, and 4.4, 4.7. If the roof is open, I think I would rather play the Philly and Miami bats because the weather, it just seems nicer. Now, if the roof is closed, it's a moot point because then these stadiums become similar and the weather just doesn't matter. But it's going to be a little chilly, about 60 degrees. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it is humid, 93 degrees. But I think humidity only works with you when it's super hot. Otherwise, it's just friction in the air. So, listen, I'm with you on the Brewers bats. There's a lot of these cheap guys for sure. Like Aguilar, he's been putting up points, man. Regardless, people don't know who he is. He's getting it done. He's batting third. And then Thames 3.1, man. I mean, you're playing sale tomorrow, right, in cash. So you're gonna need some cheap guys, and these are guys that are cheap and they're in the top of the order against, like you guys said, a no-name pitcher. Who nobody knows. So, yeah, I think the Brewers are in a great spot here. All I'm saying is I think for tournaments, I like the other game a little more. But I'm with you guys, man. I don't see why you wouldn't play the bats. One thing about Davies I think is interesting. Now, obviously, he's been a little bit better on the road, his overall WOBA for the last couple of years. That's because he pitches in Milwaukee, right? That's the only reason. When you throw that out the window, his WOBA against lefties on the road, 285. Which isn't bad, right? Like 5.86% better than when he's at home against lefties. But to righties, 344. For some reason, he's been getting tagged by righties on the road. So my only issue with the Mets is Darno is the only righty I could see, unless they're gonna, because Walker's probably gonna come back today. So it's gonna be all lefties. Now listen, it's still lefty-righty platoon. So I'm not saying don't play the Mets. They're still in a very good spot here. Conforto, even if they had righties here, I would still be playing Conforto, Bruce, and Walker and these guys. So I just thought it was interesting when I came across it. I'm not saying that I think the sample size is even big enough for that to happen. Just over the last couple of years, I know he's been hurt a couple times, but thought that was interesting. But yeah, I'm with you guys, man. All the bats here. No, I'm not touching these pitchers. We got Matt Andriesi of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Nick Martinez of the Texas Rangers. Go ahead, Fuego. Start us off.
So here's the second baseman I was thinking of, but unfortunately he didn't do well tonight. Odor for Texas. He has, unfortunately, only one hit in most of these games, but he's got hits in 10 of his last 11 games, I think. 7 straight games in a row he's got a hit, something like that. And he's always cheap, and I get it. He doesn't have the power and stuff, but, I like Odor. I like all the Texas bats in this game. I always like Texas bats. They always go low-owned. And they usually have a high run total. Like, let's see, they have a 4.9 tomorrow. People are going to say, well, that's not 5. You got all these other guys at 5. I'm not going to play them again. And they're cheap. So I always like the Texas bats, at least the lefties versus righties for sure. Mazzara. No one ever plays Mazzara. And here's a guy who does have the power, or at least some power, and it's interesting. The Rays have a 5.2 implied run total versus Texas. So you want to get the Rays in. I think they both scored a bunch of runs tonight, didn't they? Like 18 between the two of them or something. So I like both sides on the batter side.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this game has the second highest implied run total. So, if you have to get off of Coors. So in order to get off of Coors, in order to win, you got to hope for Coors to bust, and then this one to go off, and that's how you win all the money. Correct? It's easy. That's what you do. All right? No, but yeah, I like it. The game, Nick Martinez has 10 runs in him to give up, and Andriesi can be sneaky, but Vegas doesn't seem to like him tomorrow, so. You gotta have a stack of one of these teams in one of your lineups if you're gonna do multiple lineups.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, man. Listen, I've played NGC before, but on the road, he seems to have significantly different numbers. Like, he's not any good on the road. It's going to be 87 degrees over in Texas, 41% humidity. It's a dry heat, man. It's getting warm over there. I'm with you guys, man. Load up on these bats. I got to stop taking these takes before I see the rest of the slate, because Fuego, right on, man. Like, obviously, if I seen Odor at 2.8, cheaper than Cesar Hernandez and DJ LeMahieu, yeah, I'm definitely going to like him better, feel a lot more comfortable with him. Not to mention he's against Matt Andriese in super high weather on a team with a 4.9 projected run total. So, yeah, man, I got to kind of just I'm sure that the model will have these guys all highly rated, but I got to stop taking these, these early little these things without seeing the slate as a whole, man. I do that every time.
Well, you could just say he's in play.
Yeah, there you go. He's in play. There you go. Because, yeah, I love Odor in the spot for sure against Andriese. And you know what? The Rays, man, they've been red hot. They're putting up serious numbers, man. Like, they're just putting up runs. So the bats in both these games, man, I love them. All right, we got Mike Fears of the Houston Astros visiting Jose Berrios of the Minnesota Twins. Go ahead, Joe.
This is one of the games I think you just have to kind of sort of cross off. I would love Berrios if he was pitching against almost any other team. I don't like attacking the Astros. Alex Bregman's heating up lately. Correa's heating up. There's so many other games on the slate. There's nothing that really stands out to where you have to play these players, unless maybe Fuego sees something I don't. But from first glance, I'm staying out. I'm staying away from this game.
Go ahead, Fuego. What you got?
The only thing I see that you don't is low ownership. The low ownership on either side, the 4.8 run total. What's that noise? Let's hear that?
Well, I think it sounds like a vacuum.
Oh. So the 4.8 run total for the Twins is in that spot we talked about. It's over 4.7. It's not the highest. So it's going to be sneaky, and I have something for the Twins. So I could see a sneaky twin stack. You compare Twins with, say, the Rockies, Twins with Seattle, and have a low-owned combination against, with a decent run total. So that's the only thing that I see. And Houston, Houston's always crushing the ball. So even though they're only at 4.3, if you want to get a couple one-offs or if you want to get real sneaky, you could go with some of those guys. But I like the Minnesota side.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I think that you're right. The ownership will certainly be lower, just for this fact that, listen, Fierce is terrible, but people aren't going to care. It's the Twins, right? Like, people don't like playing Twins. They hate it. Fierce has been significantly worse on the road, and on top of that, he's had significant reverse splits on the road. 306 to lefties over his last 2 years, 392 to righties. 7.87% differential. He's been pretty bad against righties, particularly on the road. Dozier and Sanu are in great spots, and you're right. I think their ownership is going to go lower. So from a cash game standpoint, I don't know if you're probably not saddling up here. There's too many other better games. But in a tournament, you want to talk about some pivots. Sanu at 3.5, and even Dozier at 4.2. Dozier will probably be on their own because people aren't going to want to. They don't think it's worth it. If you're playing Sale, you're probably not paying up for Dozier. So it's like. It's just like, yeah, I think you're right, man. I think for tournaments, this could definitely be something interesting as far as ownership goes, for sure.
And the lefties, Kepler and Mauer have been playing
very well.
I didn't want to touch Mauer at all this year, but he's been heating up.
Yeah.
And Kepler lefty too. So
they had an amazing series with the Rays, man. So many runs. All right, we got Chris Sale, the lefty from the Boston Red Sox, going back to Chicago to visit Jose Quintana, the lefty from the Chicago White Sox. Go ahead, Fuego.
Well, I don't have to tell people to play Chris Sale, do I?
Probably not. Hopefully not, no.
Yeah, play Chris Sale. His price is really high on DraftKings, though, $13,400 on DraftKings. We talked a little bit about, Ray as a pivot off of him, but even at 13.4, I could still see him on DraftKings matched up with the lower price pitcher. And on FanDuel, see if you can get him in. Now, I haven't really worked with lineups, but find one of these lower owned for 4.7 or higher totals. Try to stack some of those guys with Sale. But, he's Chris Sale. And I like Quintana usually, but I don't think I like him against the Red Sox. Not a lefty. They got a lot of righties. And on the other side, I do like some of the righty bats on Boston, but more of one-offs. You know, they only have a 4.3 implied run total because Quintana's a pretty decent pitcher. So there's probably no batters on either side I'm really targeting.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. What do you think?
All right, so if you want to go narrative street, you just got there's a ton of it. You know, Sale's returning home to play the team that he left. I mean, if I'm the White Sox, I go out there with the same jerseys that just made him go apeshit crazy last year. And I'm wearing those jerseys tomorrow night. But you also got Quintana, who is now basically the number one starter who took over for Sale. So for him, you know, this is one of the biggest starts he's going to have all year. So, you know, you hope that he comes out, you know, it may be enough to make me want to stay away from the Red Sox bats, even though you know that they could probably blow up, especially those top four guys in the lineup. And as for Sale, you know, you got to play him in cash. I think if you stay, you know, if you try and look for, you know, if you put Sale in your cash game lineups, you pay down at catcher, you pay down at second base and shortstops, and maybe one outfield position, then you can fit in Sale and some other bats and go to war with that in cash. That's what I'm going to do, and I think that you can be successful.
I think it's a great strategy for sure. I'll be doing the same thing. I do the same thing, especially with these stud pitchers, man. Yeah, that's it. You know, and you know what? Once we get a little further in our little process here over at WiseTake, we'll be able to elaborate that a little more and go in depth. But anyway, with you guys, man, play Sale and Quintana. This could be a big game. It's enough to scare me off the bats on both sides for sure. Justin Verlander from the Detroit Tigers visiting Eric Skoglund.
I can't even find him on Google.
On Google, you can. If you can't be found on Google, there's an issue there. You're a Major League Baseball player and you cannot be found on Google. All right, go ahead, Joe. You know anything about him or what?
I know nothing about him. Enough to where it's like, okay, well, you like the bats, so the Tigers bats, if you can find some good value, I would definitely go after him. He's left-handed, so that's one thing I know about him. He's left-handed. So so the righty bats I would like more.
I found it.
And as for the other ways, like for Verlander, you would like him in this spot, but there's some history that the Royals have faced him his whole career. Sal Perez is definitely the BVP play of the day. He's 23 of 52. He's batting over 400 against Sale, and you know, over 50 at bats. That's where I really start to look at something for BVP wise. You know, you can argue with me with low sample size, but you get over 50 at bats. That's a good enough sample size. He can hit them well. So definitely as a one-off, I like Perez. And you know, some of the other bats, they face him a lot. So because they face him so much, and I don't think that he's as dominant as he used to be, it makes me not want to play him.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got?
Do you see a total for Detroit?
No, I don't. Maybe because, you know what? I wonder if Vegas is waiting for confirmation if this Eric Skoglund is actually playing.
It says here he's going to make his Major League debut, yeah, but you're right. He's not in the player pool, and maybe that's what Vegas was waiting for. So this is another spot.
Roto Grinders has Miguel Almonte as the starter.
According to the Kansas City Star, Royals pitcher Eric Skoglund will make Major League debut on Tuesday.
All right, I know you're. I'm just reporting what somebody else.
Yeah. So this just came out though, a couple hours ago. So, yeah, exactly. And this is another spot, a young guy we've never heard of. I would fire up Detroit bats against him no matter what the total is. Let's see what happens, especially the righties. I'm looking here at his, minor league stats. Nothing to shout about. 2.7 ERA in 3 innings. Oh, no. At Omaha at AAA, he had a 4.53 ERA in 43 innings. I don't know. That's nothing great. Let's fire up the Detroit bats. Yeah. And Verlander is a pitcher you could probably go for, especially on DraftKings. You need 2. I could play Verlander.
Yeah, I certainly get it against this new Royals team. Joe, you made a great point about the BVP. Maybe it'll help playing in Kansas City instead. Now, we do have some weather concerns, 67% chance of rain, so that could mess things up a little bit as far as the pitchers go. I do think from an ownership standpoint, I wonder who will be more popular, Verlander or Ray, because on FanDuel they're the same price. So I'm just curious. I don't really have a take on that. But yeah, historically the Tigers are lefty masters. Miguel Cabrera 3.8 on FanDuel. Castellanos, he's been struggling this year, but 2.5. We know that he can hit the long ball. So if he goes up against a lefty, especially a no-name like Skoglund, who's with an ERA of 4 in the minor league, that's not that impressive. Listen, this Detroit lineup outside of like Martinez, Upton, Castellanos, Cabrera, etc., they're bad. Hicks, Jacoby Jones, on all these guys like Iglesias, Romine, they're not that great. Like, they're really not.
Outside of half of their lineup, they're
terrible. Outside the first half of their lineup, like the rest of the lineup is horrid. Like, it's bad though, man. Like the other day against, I forgot which pitcher it was, but the other day they put a lineup out that was like, I think they were resting Kinsler and all that. Well, Kinsler's hurt, that's right. Anyway, listen, man, they could be up and down, but I think in tournaments it's a bad weather game. People aren't going to go here. So from purely from a contrarian standpoint, and the fact that they may throw out a lefty against a team that historically mashes lefties, yeah, I think the Tigers are certainly interesting for sure.
Hey, I just want to take back what I said about Verlander on DraftKings. I would play him on FanDuel, like you said, but on DraftKings he's 900 more than Ray. Wow. So I'd probably stick with Ray.
Okay. All right, we got Bartolo Colon of the Atlanta Braves visiting the Los Angeles Angels.
Of Anaheim?
There we go. All right, that's for you, Matt. Anyway, I'm seeing on Labs, I'm seeing Parker Bridwell. That's what I'm saying. That is either.
There you go.
Go ahead, Fuego. You start us off this time.
All right. Let me pull up. This also has no totals, right?
Correct.
Because of the pitchers.
Right.
I'm certainly not rolling out Bartolo Colon, and this might be one of those games where I don't like the batter side either, though. I think we've talked about this in the past. He seems to not give up a ton, but also you don't want to play him. And, And I would probably, and this is one where I would go after Bridwell if there wasn't so many other options on the slate, So I don't have much interest in either team.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
All right, so everybody listening, watching, if you made it this far, first of all, we thank you. I want you to get out your pen and paper right now, and I want you to write down this. For the next 6 to 8 weeks, you will target the Angels offense with your pitching.
I'm writing it down.
Except tomorrow.
Except
tomorrow. Okay? Look, Trout's going to be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? Generally, just a wide span. I'm telling you guys, if you got a good pitching, even just a guy that's a good number 3 or number 4 starter that has an every other good start, if he's in a good matchup, target against the Angels in the next 6 to 8 weeks. They're going to be a lineup you're going to like to make some money off of. But as of for tomorrow, righties hit Colon. They destroy Colon. Bartolo is a potato. So, load that potato up with some sour cream, bacon bits, cheese, whatever.
Got a good point. He sucks.
He is terrible. Pujols. Pujols could easy get a home run off of him. Maben's playing well. I'm not saying I would definitely. It would be a very low owned play, but yeah, Bartolo is god awful, and they will leave him in there too because they don't want to go to the pen in the third inning. So they'll leave him in there to at least give up 5 to 7 runs.
Yeah, for sure.
Maben's been playing well too.
Yeah, I think you guys got that one covered for sure. Eddie Butler of the Chicago Cubs visiting Dinelson Lamet of the San Diego Padres. I forgot who went last time first, so we're just gonna go to Joe.
All right. Well, first off, I think the GM for the Padres should be fired because last time Dinelson Lamet pitched, we had a nice laugh thinking how good can he be if he couldn't beat out Jared Weaver. and then he goes out and throws 6 innings against the Mets and gives up one run. So it's like I don't understand it. I don't get it. But the thing is that the Cubs just have not been hitting the ball at all. The Dodgers shut them out 2 out of 3 games over the weekend. So I mean, the only thing that makes Lamet very, very just sort of just tempting is for one reason and one reason only, is he's playing a team that isn't very good and he is dirt cheap. He is 6,000.
LeMay, he's playing the Cubs.
He's playing the Cubs, who have not been hitting very well. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
So he's playing. He's pitching against the Cubs, who haven't been hitting very well. So, and he's 6,000. So if you really want to, load up Coors bats, he got 42 FanDuel points his first start.
I see what you're saying. Go ahead, Fuego.
Yeah, good point on Lamet. Dinelson Lamet, man. What a name. Right, on DraftKings. Let's talk about DraftKings pitchers. He's 6.1. You want to pair him with Sale. It will be sneaky play. And as Joe said, Chicago hasn't been playing well. He put up 26, struck out 8 in 5 innings versus your New York Mets. But that would definitely be a sneaky play. Unfortunately, all these late night games, I like to stack late night. We all do. We like to have the late night hammers. But all these late games have very low run totals, which means you're going to have to only be able to use one-offs or hope you have a lead and cross your fingers, 3.7 for San Diego, 4.3 for the Cubs, both at the lower end. I'm not liking much, man.
Yeah, I will say that listen, on FanDuel, I'm not playing LeMay against the Cubs. Like, I think that I understand that the Cubs offense is struggling, but I just don't want to go there with a guy based off of one game against a team that was also struggling. Because at the time, the Mets were struggling too. They struggled against the Padres the entire season. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Padres at home. They were definitely struggling at the time. So I certainly see the merit, Joe. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, listen, at 6K, there's tons of bats to pay up for, so I get it. But I think for me, I might like Eddie Butler as a tournament flyer. He's 7-2, so he's only 1,200 more, and he's a little bit more proven. Like, he had a pretty good game against St. Louis. And listen, over the years, his numbers aren't that great. But
it's San Diego.
It's San Diego, and we get the ballpark boost. And people seem to think, like, remember, Butler was what, in Colorado, was he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So his numbers are a little inflated. We know that. So I'd be interested. Listen, he doesn't have a ton of K upside from what I've seen, but he did pretty good against the Cardinals. So I think for tournaments only, of course. But if you want to go the bats route, I think the lowest I personally would go is 7-2. But on DraftKings and FanDuel, at 6K for a guy that put up 40 against the Mets in his first start on the road.
5.4 on DraftKings.
5.4 on DraftKings. I certainly get it. So I think both pitchers, GPPs only, but both pitchers are in play for sure. And maybe LeMay and cash if you're paying for Sale. I don't know. I don't really play DraftKings baseball that much, but sure, I'm with you guys, man. You guys made a great point. Gio Gonzalez, a lefty from the Washington Nationals, visiting Jeff Samardzija of the San Francisco Giants. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I think Jeff Samardzija is somebody we should all look at tomorrow as a low-owned GPP play. He is right around the same salary as Ray, as Severino, as Verlander. And so I think because of late night and because they're playing the Nats, that he's going to be very, very, he's going to be forgotten almost. If you watch the fight that happened today, Samardzija is the guy that comes in and just absolutely destroys somebody with like a check. So emotions are going to be high tomorrow. And I bet you he has the upside to put up 60 points. He's done it. And it's somebody that, like I said, against the Nats team, everybody's going to think their offense is unhittable. And they are very good, but...
Did you just say their offense is unhittable?
Oh, I'm sorry. their offense is they think that...
We got you.
You understood.
Yeah, their
offense is untouchable.
Right.
So You get what I mean. But anyway,
course.
so yeah, Samardzija is somebody that I absolutely like. I don't like Gio though on the road. He always seems to have his big blowups on the road. So on the other side, though, they're not good enough though for me to take the bats though of the Giants.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Fuego.
I ditto exactly what he said there at the end about Gio. And Samardzija is a guy, for some reason, I had not been playing last year, definitely, and even in the beginning of this year. But last 4 games, 8 Ks, 8 Ks, 8 Ks, 9 Ks, 11 Ks. That's 5 games. So those are his last 5 games. No less than 8 Ks his last 5 games. I mean, wow. And exactly what Joe said. I think people still respect the Nats and probably he probably won't. They probably won't be going there. So I love Samardzija in this spot. There's your late night hammer if you need it. Load up on bats early and throw Samardzija out there as your pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, I think like I would not like Samardzija in the spot, but considering the fact that I'm assuming Bryce Harper is not going to be playing, I mean, after what he did today, I mean, listen, let's talk about that for a second.
They only have a 3.9 implied run total, and it's in San Fran. But go ahead.
Yeah, did you see him run over there and throw the helmet and miss? He was like 2 feet away and he missed.
He didn't miss. He just it was more than a miss. It was to be expected after what happened 3 years ago in 2014 in playoffs. But I just think that Samardzija is one of the biggest secrets right now. People do not realize how good he has been. And he's pitched against some pretty good players, teams. So
yeah, his swinging strike rate is definitely way up. Over the last 2 years, it's 9.8. This year, it's 11.6. So his swinging strike rate is he's doing something right.
Well, people look at the ERA and they just obviously cross him off.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I think we talked about this last time he pitched. And he against the Cubs, he pitched 7 innings and he strikes out 8. And 40 points ain't bad, especially at that price with Coors. It'll afford you to get some Coors bats. And like I said, with everybody else around that price, that's what makes him most attractive because people will not look at him.
And on FanDuel, he's even more attractive because you don't lose points for hits. DraftKings, don't you lose points for hits, right? He seems to give up a lot of hits sometimes. 9 hits, 10 hits sometimes. Even though he's striking out 8-9, but you don't lose that. So on his DraftKings, FanDuel 40 points, 52 points, 45 points, 61 points.
Yeah. I certainly see your point. I think that especially without Harper, this is a decent spot. But I probably personally, I don't think I can go there. I think the Nats offense, they just scare me too much. I know the ballpark's good, but Samardzija's numbers have been bad at home, and I know that's because where he played before San Francisco a lot, but. I don't know, man. Like he's striking people out, and the national strikeouts. You know what? For tournaments, I think he makes sense for tournaments for sure as a late night hammer pitcher, and he's gonna go under own in that tier. That's a great point from Joe. So I don't know why I'm thinking cash, but we already said sailing cash, so there's no reason to. So yeah. For tournaments, I think Samardzija makes sense, especially without Harper, for sure, man. I think you guys made great points. All right, you guys want to play some Dog Watch?
Let's do it.
All right, Fuego, you were off for a week, so you're gonna go first now. We want to get you. We want to give you the first pick there, man. Give you the honors.
Let me go Logan Morrison.
Okay, he's been hot. Go ahead, Joe.
Nolan Arenado.
Oh, no Coors.
Oh, no Coors? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no Coors. That's all good.
My bad. Okay.
That's all
this might be the first time I've done Coors. Okay, then let's go with the BVP play. Let's go with Sal Perez.
Okay, I like it against Verlander. Getting funky. I'm gonna try to get a little different too here and go with. I'm gonna go Brian Dozier. Get a little different there. And then for my second pick, I was going to take Sanu, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go with this Texas game here. And I think I'm going to go with Mazzara here. I'm going to take Mazzara.
Nice.
All right, back to you, Joe.
Conforto.
Oh, I like it. And then Fuego, you get 2.
Give me Josh Donaldson. And Aaron Judge.
Ooh, nice. Yes, that guy's been a beast. I like the laugh, too. It's so fitting. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I saw he's playing an Oriole. Hedge myself.
Yeah.
Corey Dickerson.
Nice. I was going to go him.
And for my last pick, I feel like I have to kind of back up what I was saying a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with give me some Tommy Joseph against Nickel.
There you go.
All right. Hey, fellas, it was awesome
Joseph
having you on.
The number one guy.
Hey, man, we get a little funky sometimes.
All right.
Hey, Fuego, it was great to have you back, man. You seem recharged and everything like that. It was good. Glad everything's working out for you. And Joe, man, glad you're back from your vacation. Glad it went well, fellas. Appreciate you coming on, man. Always a blast with you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Listen, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up. That like button means a lot to us. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow here. We're trying to do something. If you're listening on Podbean, give us a follow. If you're listening on iTunes, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to rate us. Give us some positive reviews. Bump us up those charts. Listen, follow the WiseTake Twitter at @wise_take. We got some big things coming up. We're going to be having some announcements within the next month or so. So you definitely want to be following to catch some of that stuff. We got a lot of fun, exciting stuff that we're doing here at WiseTake. So other than that, for Joe, for Fuego, and for myself, as always, good luck.
Yeah.